right from the start that I'm not leaving without you. Said I'm not leaving without you. Gravity, don't run away from me. 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 From the start that I'm not leaving without you. Say I'm not leaving without you. It's been a long time. Gravity, don't run away from me. Gravity, don't run away from me. Gravity, don't run away from me. Gravity. 1, 2, 3, hit it!
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Don't run away from me.
And hello, boys and girls, fellow Vainglorious. Welcome back to your weekly dose of Vainglory action, and welcome back to the EU Champions Cup to see your very, very favourite and best Vainglory players into the EU region just clashing all together into one epic battle. I'm your host, Maxman, and today I will be joined by two of my good friends and fellow casters. I have named Imperium and also fellow caster Dane Nominate. How you guys doing?
I'm doing A-OK, Maxman. Once again, thank you for having me here. And of course, we have Imperium. Hopefully, he's got his mic all sorted out.
Oh, my mic's all sorted out. I'm full of sweat, ready to watch the sweaty plays happen in the EU Champions Cup to nominate. Two epic teams are coming up against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a fun one. We saw a lot of really exciting gameplay last week. And, you know, we saw some veteran names to the European Vainglory scene then. And we've got a bunch more for you today. And, you know, I'm going to say some of these teams are starting to look pretty stacked, Imperium. Oh,
yeah, they are. Like, coming up in this first game, we have Divine Vendetta, the mighty Divine Vendetta, with the likes of Disowned, Nomad Vagabond, the Joker, Agony, and Next Dragon, as well as even the likes of Aristocratic and Los Oswaldos on the roster, going up against the mighty Sly SLY. You have Kiana Nakoa, Sneaky, Techno, JJ, Hundor, and Tyras, as well as even the likes of Cracks, as well as a sub. So these teams are really, like you said, stacked full of Vainglory Go players that are not only experienced, but they're established. They have a lot of knowledge, and I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the Rise.
Yeah, definitely should be a good one, Imperium. You know, again, lots of veteran players. Very, very good players on both sides. I expect we're going to see a lot of high-level macro play coming out of these teams. You know, Hundor especially is one that I really want to look out for. One of my favorite players of all time from Europe. You know, just really fun to watch him play. He's very, very skilled. And the other, Kiana Nakoa, he really always stood out for me back in Vainglory 3v3 as well. So I'm excited to see specifically what these guys are going to bring to the table now that 5v5 is here, because this is a totally different game. These were, you know, like legends of the 3v3 European scene, but we haven't really seen a ton of live gameplay from them to know how they fall into 5v5.
Exactly, and obviously there's always been rumblings and swaps, but either way, we're in this draft of this first game. You straight away see a ban on the side of Sly being coming out from Churnwalker, and then on the side of DVI with Yates and Lorelei. Then the second ban coming out from Sly is Finn, which is very much expected, but it does leave open the likes of Anka, Inara, Reza, and Idris. All of those four heroes, plus more, including Arden, are so strong in the current 3.8 meta to nominate. They take away the Anka straight up being first picked by Disowned, and I know Disowned loves playing Anka. He's some form of an Anka expert. I would nearly say he's very knowledgeable on that hero, but also it's a power pick, so it makes sense. Sly following up straight up with an Arden. I would imagine they will go possibly for Reza or an Idris, but they've gone for the Silver Nail to cause out that zoning. I do like those first two picks up coming out from Sly to nominate.
I do as well. The Silver Nail specifically, when he throws down those stakes, he can really make it difficult for assassins to safely engage. Now, in the bans, we do see a little bit of a difference from last week. We have 4 captains taken off the board. Last week, we did see the Yates make it through. He didn't really have too great of an effect because he was up against a Finn who was just doing such an excellent job blocking out on that Wolf's Maw. So I'm kind of surprised we have 4 captains taken off the board here. And then Arden, he's kind of like that big flex pick right now. And just in the terms that he will probably not be the main support. He will definitely build a little bit of damage, but he also may, you know, be that second Crucible and have that Atlas Pauldron. He's going to bring utility to the table.
Exactly, and we did see DVI following up with an Adagio and a Reza. Adagio's a little bit off meta, but definitely very strong. And then we do see SLI going for the Kinetic and the Lyra. Kinetic and Silvernail together those are two of the strongest carries in the current 3.8 meta, and there's only so much you can kind of pick to really counter that or deal with that. And I'm kind of surprised that DVI let the kinetic through, considering SOY had the silver now. So either way, DVI are going to follow up straight up with the Grace. Now, what I do love about their comp outside of the Adagio denominator is that they have 3 frontline aggressive heroes. You have the Anchor, you have the Resin, you have the Grace. I was just going to say, pick up an Idris and you are sorted, my friends. That's what DVI go for. They are going to be strong, engaged comp from start to finish. If they pull it off right, they will be able to snowball it very effectively to nominate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think one of the biggest kind of downfalls to the side of DV right now is going to be that we have the Silvernail and the Lyra, who are going to be able to prevent a lot of that engaged potential out of the Anka, out of the Grace, out of the Reza, and even potentially the Idris, depending on what path he goes down. I think Crystal is the safer path for Idris here, but with the Reza on board and the Anka on board, it's a little sketchy to stack that much damage one way, because it makes it very easy. It makes it very easy for the opposition to just stack shield early on, and that's going to take away a lot of the aggression that DVI can put together.
True, but then again, what I have seen plenty of times to nominate is a weapon power Reza. It's not uncommon in the 3.8 meta to go for a Serpent's Mask, Tension Bow Reza. I've seen it work out pretty damn well, and he can be very, very strong and effective on that weapon power build. So we could see a CP. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's something we should keep our eyes on. And then as you look at the side of SLY, they're just going to be kiting back, poking. I can imagine Tyrus going for a Spellfire Dragon's Eye second item, just to really be able to stack up quite nicely and kite back away from the strong engaging DVI comp. But we are into this game, Denomni.
Yes, we are, and it is going to be an exciting one. Again, lots of veterans to the Vainglory scene here. Gonna have to see what they bring to the table here in 5v5. Overall, pretty relaxed start. Last week we were seeing a lot of invades early into the enemy jungle, and that does not seem to be the case here. However, Disowned here in the mid lane is struggling and taking a little bit of damage from Keanu Nakoa. He does force the wave up, which is going to give him time to go get some of that ambient gold in the jungle. But Lyra can be really devastating as a support in that mid lane. She dishes out quite a bit of damage on her own early, and is able to heal up her laner, and that's something that Anka, if they do go the mid lane with that route, is going to struggle with.
Exactly, that's definitely something that's going to help stop DVI really snowballing this game, so I really love the pickup that's come out from Sly. Also, it seems like we're going to have a weapon power mid lane coming out from Sly with the kinetic, so I think that's really interesting. I like the path that they're going down towards Sneaky, going for that weapon power path as well, so there's a lot of basic attack damage coming out from Sly to kind of, like I said, counter the hard engage. But we do see Agony and the Joker going in.
Yeah, we definitely got a little bit going on up there. I don't know if too much is going to come of it, but Disowned is on to Techno JJ, almost taking him down. Huge chunk of damage coming out of that kinetic. And with Lyra making her way back down, I think Techno is just going to hang out in the lane here and work on getting that CS up so that he can be that devastating force that we know Kinetic to be. Disowned, he is double buffed right now with those preamp buffs, so he is a little bit on the scary side. So Techno, with his health the way it is, may have to play a little bit cautious here.
Exactly.
One misstep could be the end of it.
It could be, especially when you have Nomad on the Adagio with that kind of basic attack buff that the Adagio has in his kit. That makes Disowned on this Anka extra aggressive, extra dangerous, and position is key. But Techno is holding up quite nicely, and Keanu providing that strong support. But we do see in the bottom lane, X-Dragon, I like that Agony's rotating between top, mid, and bot lane to really be a strong jungler against SLY. It means that what SLY, they can't necessarily they can't really see exactly where Agony is going to be because he's rotating between lanes. So he's you know, it's kind of unsure as far as what his rotations are going to be. So that is good stuff coming out from DVI, and nice steal on the healing train coming out from Agony. So good start from both teams. The goal difference is about 300 in the favor of DVI denominator, but we are seeing an engagement.
Yeah, we are. Agony is on the run. Tyra's coming through with that Samuel. Not quite enough to get the kill, but definitely enough to force Agony on the Reza back to his own side. We've got another Crystal Treant rotation coming up for Disowned, and anytime this Anka has that Crystal buff, she is going to be a pretty savage threat to deal with. So there's the buff going over. Techno JJ, he's pretty healthy right now. He'll be all right to make an escape and get some shopping done. 1,700 gold in the pocket. There's the heavy steel as well as a set of boots. So good spot for this Kinetic to be in at this point in the game. Again, we're just going to have to watch out on what this Anka is able to pull off here in the mid lane. Disowned is approaching level 6, and that ult can be very, very devastating if Anka can get to the right position.
Exactly, especially when you think that he is around 16 CS or so ahead as Disowned goes in.
Coming in, Hundor on the run, has to pop the boots to get out. Does have that weapon buff. Tyra's is up here to help hold the lane back and help keep Hundor alive. But Joker on this Grace is going to get a lot of opportunity for some free farm up here in the top lane.
Great rotation coming out from Disowned on that anchor from the mid lane up to the top lane. Like I said, it creates unpredictability. It's fluid, it's flowing, it's really great stuff coming out from all members of DVI. It means that SLY they don't know where DVI are going to be, so you can't be too secure on where to be positioning. But we are seeing Agony going in with the X-Dragon.
Yeah, we absolutely are. X-Dragon and Agony both very low on health. Tyra's coming in with the Malice and Verdicts. Not quite able to secure the kill, but it's going to force the opposition back as we see Agony is having to recall here. X-Dragon being on this weapon, Idris, does not have that range advantage that he would have if he went down the Crystal Path. However, he is going to bring a lot more hurt on his basic attacks, playing a much more assassin-style role. And again, this is kind of, at the beginning of the game, is where I said the downfall might be for DVI, is they have a lot of hard engagement that can easily be shut down by Silvernail as well as by the Lyra. And then if they're grouping up, that's where Tyra's is going to have just all of the power he needs. The Empowered Malice and Verdicts, being able to hit multiple targets, is a lot of damage for a very low energy cost return.
Very true, that is 100% dead on. But then again, when you look at the DVI comp, like you mentioned, it's true in the early game it could spell a little bit of trouble for DVI, but their comp is all about, as you do see Disowned going in.
And Disowned is just barely going to make it out using that ultimate. Is he going to get all the way? There's the heal coming through. Grace using that divine intervention. Nomad Vagabond even makes it out on a sliver of health. Sly pushing in. Full health on most of the members here as Agony and X-Dragon are working their way over. Nope, there's the vision drop from Kiana and Nakoa. They have to see this rotation coming. They're not going to get that turret, and they may just have to back off at this point. Tyra's, it's a cheeky little slap onto X-Dragon there, and that's going to be the end of that tussle as Agony and X-Dragon are now working their way back down into that bot lane where Sneaky has been here on the Arden. He's got that Crucible, not a lot of damage yet. Of course, behind that turret, but he should be a-okay. Tyra's and Techno JJ are working their way down. You see a potential gank here. Oh,
let's see what they do make out.
Yeah, turret's taking quite a bit of damage. X-Dragon with the Chakram. Here comes the Oblivion, just misses the heals of X-Dragon. There goes the Drifting Dark. Gauntlet comes through. Sneaky just a bit shy. Meanwhile, we had Hundor taking down Disowned in the mid lane there. Nomad Vagabond, full health. He's going to be able to hopefully clear out this wave before Hundor and Kiana and Nakoa are able to take down that turret. But as the captain, he doesn't really have a lot of damage potential. Hundor, on the other hand, Serpent's Mask complete. Same for Techno JJ. Kiana, Nakoa, and Hundor, they are working in on this turret. Meanwhile, in the bottom jungle here, it is going to be a kill going over to Agony as he takes down Tyros. They're going to find another one onto the Arden.
Techno JJ, he will make it out alive, but that's very likely going to be a bot lane turret going over to the side of DVI, and they are now rotating down, maybe even potentially looking for a Ghost Wing here.
It could be the right option, although Arden is up, so it's going to be a 5-man slide comp that are going to be up, ready to cause a little bit of pressure. And then when you look at the fact that Sly are about, well, actually now, at this stage, are only about 400 gold ahead, but they do have the nice power spikes coming out from Techno and Hondor, both with the Serpent's Mask each. You do have Tyrus with that Spellfire first item. So I think when you look at the power spikes and the fact that X-Dragon on the Idris has a Sour Blade, I do think Sly are slightly a little bit ahead when it comes to power spikes. They're making it count because they're looking to engage hard and secure this mid-lane turret. They're not quite going to get it done, Denominate. I'm really impressed with Sly's aggression, their composure in this early game. Tyrus has been so effective anytime he's participated in a team fight with that Drifting Dark Mouse and Birds. It's really helped to push DVI away. The way DVI are going to win these team fights is by catching Sly out in a 4v5 situation and engaging hard on the Sly team. But let's see what it does happen as the Joker goes in.
Yeah, Kiana and Nicole are going to go ahead and use that Arcane Passage to get out. Techno JJ is in a great spot right now, level 8. Fight's breaking out. Got a hit on Tyra's there. He's unable to pursue inside of his Drifting Dark. But I think this might end up being a little bit of a stalemate. Sneaky's coming up and take a little bit of a safer path around. Hopefully we'll see a big team fight coming up here. We've got a lot of power spikes across the board, specifically looking at Techno JJ. Level 8 on that Kinetic can be a devastating opponent to face, especially, you know, the Anka was able to put a lot of damage down early, but as we get later in this game, hold on here, Techno JJ taking a lot of damage to this Anka, just barely gonna make it out alive. Tyrus takes quite a bit as well. Joker, Nomad Vagabond, they are here with Disown. X-Dragon finds Sneaky down here in the jungle. Tyra's trying to get this Crystal Treant before the side of DVI are able to take it away. Arndor wanted a little bit more damage on Disown there, but what are they going to find of this one? Tyra's about a third health. Here comes the escape coming out of Reza. Here's the Drifting Dark, and this is really where Tyrus has the ability to shine. Got a lot of damage coming down on the Anka here. Arcane Passage through. That's going to be one going on the board for Sly. And with the health bars of DVI where they're at, this could be a easy Ghost Swing going over to the side of Sly.
Yeah, the reason why Sly won that team fight is because DVI comp were separated, they were split apart, and you saw separate engagements coming out from Disown, from Agony, even from X-Dragon at one point, and that's all well and good for kind of initial poking, but one, you have a Lyra that's going to heal up straight away, and plus with the Bright Bulwark, and two, how you get the most out of the comp coming out from DVI is by engaging as a 3 or 4 man team. Denominating, that's how they're going to play their comp most effective. But when you engage one hero at a time, you're kind of not really doing anything with that, and you're kind of getting chunked down in the process by a 3-man kind of sticking together Sly. So Sly overall are sticking together a little bit more, staying grouped together. I am a little bit surprised that Agony, even though it's a little bit unconventional, that he didn't go for Spellfire first item on the Reza. The reason why I say that is just because of the Lyra and the Arden and how much protection they provide, simply, and also because Disown has the Aftershock. I think it would have created a slightly better balance of itemization coming out from the DVI team, but either way, Joker's maybe being put under pressure on top lane, and plus with the mid lane under pressure, this is Sly staying grouped together, plus with the Black Claw landed, this is all in control, in my opinion, right on the side of the SLY team at the moment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and as we've seen, the Bright Bulwark there, when it was a 3v4, was an easy way for Sly to just completely disengage any potential attack coming out of DVI. Meanwhile, we've got a fight, maybe get ready to start out here. All members of both teams are here. It is going to be a Crystal Treant going over to the side of DVI, but the Drifting Dark is down. This is where Tyrus has an opportunity. They're all grouped up. Grace is going to get slowed down. Here's the Anka coming in. Tyrus very low. Gauntlet comes down. That lets Hondor get out, but X-Dragon, he's on the chase. Oh, man. so many low health bars. It's hard to figure it out. Joker, he's going to go in. We have the Divine Intervention out. Sly's health bars are falling. DVI's health bars are falling. Nomad Vagabond, he's down. Sneaky is looking for a kill onto the Joker. Tyra's unable to find the connection on those drifting darks, but that's going to be a clean pickup there by Techno JJ. 2-kill swing. Agony pretty low. He needs to be cautious here with Lyra and Arden. Tyra's going to easily live through anything that Agony would have thrown at him, but now they're split up. Agony might be able to find a kill onto Sneaky here, but Arden's quite tanky. Oh boy, Kinetic's taking down a turret. Agony not quite able to find the kill there. Tyra's, he's on the way. There we go. Agony turns it around and cleans up a kill. Tyra's low on energy, low on health, was not ready for that aftershock fire starter proc. That's going to be a 3rd kill on the board for the side of DBI.
Oh, that burst denominator was absolutely disgusting. So this, if DVI had all their ducks in a row, that would have been a great opportunity to secure the Blacklaw, I feel. But either way, because they weren't quite together, it's just a kill on the board. It kind of stops the momentum coming out from SOY a little bit. Looking back at, whoa, this is Reza. Agony is being a beast on this Reza right now. Really impressive stuff. 3-0. Has the clockwork followed after the aftershock, so the cooldown on his abilities is quite a good bit. Now, like I said, they are actually going for this Blacklaw.
Yeah, Anka has used that ult, was able to take a huge chunk out of Tyra's. Not giving up here on the side. Oh, Tyra's barely able to make it out there. Keanu Nakoa having to pop that fountain and heal him up, but he's going to make it out alive. The Black Claw is going to go over to the side of DVI. Tyra's and Keanu Nakoa, they're on the run. This is going to be a Gold Oak likely going over to DVI. Nope, that's going to go over to Tyra's. Was able to snipe it away. Hundor is here to join the team. Techno JJ working his way over as well, and this is where Sly have to make a play, because they could really capitalize off the back of this Black Claw if they're able to pick up a couple kills. They easily have the damage to push a couple turrets without the reinforcement of any of the dragons.
True, plus with the fact that the Ghost Wing is on the favor of SOY, they have the buff, they have the aggression. Also, when you look back at the team fight, SLY were a lot more aggressive than I initially thought they were going to be.
Oh, Disowned is going to make it out. Divine Intervention was used by the Joker there. Fairly low cooldown for Grace, so he'll probably have it up on the next next fight. You know, obviously the 30 seconds, not too horrible here, especially with the disengagement coming out. Sly, they are going to pick up themselves a bottom turret, so they're still not too far behind, even though they did give up a couple extra kills that really didn't need to go that way. I still think they're in a pretty comfortable spot, you know, specifically because DVI, they've committed themselves to having to dive and get a kill immediately. If they don't pick up that kill instantly, it's too much of an opportunity for Sly to turn the fight around.
Definitely. Plus, when you look at the build path and the overall aggressive nature of the builds, when you look over on DVI, yeah, okay, they have Disowned, Agony, and X-Dragon. No, actually, talk about that later. Teamfight engagement.
I actually just froze up Imperium. So
oh, no problem at all. We did see that Nomad Vagabond got called out, shut down on the side of SLY. They are about 4k gold ahead, SLY. They're looking very good. However, in the bottom lane, we did see the turret did go down on the side of DVI, but they're now SLY are going to follow up by focusing on the top lane. Hundor is being engaged on by both Joker and X-Dragon, but let's see what can X-Dragon do on this Idris. But with Hundor being able to zone out with those spikes, oh, the war threads are being engaged. The zone going on to Hundor quite effectively. Mortal Wound applied. Oblivion goes out just to try and help the protection against Hundor, giving him a chance to back away as Tyrus and Hundor disengage. Kite back quite nicely, but Disowned!
Disowned comes through and picks up a kill. Techno JJ is forced out of the fight early on. Is this going to be Tyrus going down as well? He's on the run, but he's not going to make it out. 2 more kills on the board, maybe a third. Disowned almost able to pick up Keanu Nakoa here. No safety behind this turret. Here comes Agony. Here comes Disowned. There's another kill on the board. Sneaky. Not a whole lot this Arden can do against the very healthy members of DVI over here. That's going to be another turret, evening things up. 5 turrets remain for each side.
Wow.
Gold lead, only a couple thousand in the side of Sly. And you know, I think that fight was absolutely perfect on, well, you know, when we're talking about the win condition that DVI has. If they're able to get onto that single target and blow somebody up, that gives them an edge in the fight right then. And they were able to find a clean kill on the Hundor there, even with Tyra's trying to get some of that zoning potential down out of the Drifting Dark. With it being just a 5-on-2, there's just not enough time. There was not enough health remaining on the side of Sly, and we've seen Anka come in and immediately blow Hundor off the map.
Yeah, and plus, Tyra's going for Frostburn second night. I mean, even though it's alright, being sneaky going for this Ghost Wing. Let's see what does happen in this situation, because DVR are a little bit separated, but now they're forming as a 5-man team. Team fight being engaged on Denominate.
Yeah, Kiana Nakoa went in with the Arcane Passage. This fight is getting a little bit split up as Tyra's and Techno JJ are running back to their side. Agony is finding quite a bit of damage onto Sneaky. This Anka is very hurt as well, but it looks like Agony is gonna make it out. Oh man, kills all over the board, but so far looks like Sly are taking the upper hand, and there it is. 4 kills very, very quickly out of Sly at the end of that fight. They pick up the ace, 4 members remaining. This gives them a lot of opportunity to pick up this Ghost Wing, get some extra gold in their pockets, and get prepared for the next fight, because as we're getting later and later in this game and the death timers are going to get longer and longer, you can be so much more punishing across the map when you are able to pick up even a single kill. So great turnaround there.
Yeah, and where it turned around in a favor, it was a fantastic engagement initially by DVI. They focused hard on Tyrus and he got bursted down to below half health, but they didn't stay on that one target. They didn't blow up Tyrus and kill him. They got split up, they got separated, they didn't stay on that one target. They have to do that in a team fight. Otherwise, they are only going to get bursted down overall by SLY. They've got to stick it together. Either way, this is now going to be Dragon pushing down on the side of SLY Denominate.
Yeah, Tyra's trying to use the best of that Drifting Dark. Again, DVI, it's just so difficult for them to make a full team fight advantage with the Lyra's Bright Bulwark, preventing all of their engagement potential. And now we've got that choke point turret is down on the side of DVI. Sly pushing in. They're going to get that armory. Can they pick up this fight and close out the game? Blackclaw is dropping pretty substantially in health. Sneaky is doing great on the front line, soaking up damage for the team. Disowned on the run. That's going to be the Joker falling on this Grace. And I think this one's going to be going over to Sly.
It seems like now it's not over till it's over. It definitely seems like this Vein Crystal is going to be taking out the anchor, not quite being as effective as they would want to. When you look at the DVI comp, like they'd such an engaging frontline comp, but they didn't make use of it to nominate. They didn't engage. You didn't see X-Dragon, Disowned, and Agony engage as a 3-man frontline like they realistically should have in all of the team fights. When they did, and they bursted SLY down effectively and focused, paid off big time. But when they stopped doing that, Techno was on his full build power spike realistically. Hundor was. Tyrus is able to kite back, and you only gave SLY a chance to really get the job done in a team fight. Plus, in my opinion, Adagio was not the right support for the DVI comp. Catherine, I feel, would have been a little bit more frontline effective.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I think a lot of the draft just kind of came down to Kiana Nakoa here on this Lyra, was able to prevent all of the members of DVI are dive heroes. So while we did see Disowned pick up a couple really cheeky kills on the outskirt of a fight, or even some good rotations, we did see him come up and pick off a kill onto Hundor in that top lane. That's really the best they were able to do. They had to pick somebody off outside of a team fight to really gain an advantage. And they did an excellent job of doing so. When they did get that pick, they pushed effectively. Just when it came down to the 5v5 team fights, they lost their mobility due to the stakes coming out of Hundor and the Bright Bulwark coming out of Kiana Nakoa. And I think that's really one of the biggest things is you take away the mobility from an Anka or an Idris, and the outplay potential just drastically falls off.
Okay.
Exactly. And yeah.
Okay, I was just going to point out something, guys, real quick. Just so you know, there is a camera bug. So every time you see the camera flicker, unfortunately, I would like it to not happen, but the new PC version of Vainglory is having a little bit of an issue. So sorry for that. We're just going to have to deal with it today. We're going to try and jump into the second game anyways. GG for this first game, going over to Team Sly. This is a BO3 if you did just join us. We're going to be trying to jump into it ASAP.
Absolutely perfect. So, second draft denominate. This is up to DVI to follow up. They are on the B side for the second draft. They're going to have the last pick. Yes, they are going to have the fear of not having first pick, but I think we're going to have a similar ban phase coming out between the two teams. Straight away, Turnwalker is banned first on the side of SLY. They banned it as their first ban on the previous game. I think we're going to have either a Finn or an Anka ban coming out from... No, sorry, Finn or Yates. And we saw the Yates ban coming out from DVI. Pretty standard. Surprised Finn is banned as first on the side of SLY, though.
I definitely think this could be a potential setup because we talked about it right at the beginning of the broadcast period. Finn is excellent at blocking out that Wolfsmaw coming out of Yates. They end up going with the Reza though.
That's so good.
Definitely a huge shout to Aggie there. He was doing excellent. He found picks down in that bottom jungle multiple times. We've seen that huge turnaround on the fight where he was able to bring down Tyras. I do think Yates has a lot of potential when Finn's not on the board. So I'm glad to see Yates taken off. It is going to allow Finn to come through, but with Finn being the first pick here, it kind of sets up the way that Sly want to play, and they now have to build a composition around what Finn is capable of.
Exactly. So you want to have the likes of Scarf, you want to have the likes of, let's say, even not so much, but even Idris or Jewel as a top lane CP. Jewel would be very effective. Kinetic. Those kind of heroes are going to be able to group around the Finn, cause a lot of damage. Plus, with the late game stun coming out from the Finn, it will allow the big red button to be extra effective in a 5v5 team fight. So I would love to see top lane Jewel. We did see disowned the DVI going for the Silver Nail second pick with our first pick, and now it is Kinetic and Celeste pick up on the side of SLY. Celeste is fantastic, but I will say it before and say it again, in the 3.8 meta, I just think Scarf is a much better match with the Finn in a 5v5 comp. But let's see how the Celeste does pan out for SLY in the second game of this best of 3 denominate.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there, as we do have a Vox picked up for the side of DVI, Joker specifically sitting on it right now, but that could change. Agony has picked in this Grace, so they do have the Arden now, and I think Arden is in a incredibly strong spot. You mentioned the Scarf and the Celeste earlier. Those do pair up very well with the Finn because of that long range. They don't have to commit themselves too far in the fight, where Finn, because he's a little bit on the slow side and gets locked up pretty easily by using his abilities, it allows them to play safely behind. The polite company, even giving that little bit of fortified health, can be really beneficial.
Exactly.
And I think I really like the way that Sly have started setting up this draft so far. We've got the Inara as well, and I think Inara has some really excellent outplay potential. No Lyra for the side of Sly this time. They have gone with the Adagio, and I think this suits the Finn very, very well in the play style they're aiming for, because now you have that big tanky Finn on the front line, and if they do make it past, you're going to have Tyras who can potentially hit a big team-wide stun if you're trying to dive on a Techno JJ.
And plus, let's not forget, Adagio does have the longest range on his basic attacks in the game, so I think that can be effective because Adagio can be in the backline as far away as possible while still being able to move in with the protection of the Finn. So I do like the comp that's coming out from SLY. You're going to have that tanky beast of Finn in the front line causing a lot of protection. Then you're going to have the likes of Techno JJ, Hundor and Sneaky in the back line causing a lot of poke damage. Then when you look over on the side of DVI, they have the Maline, Agony on that Melina is going to be very strong in the early game. You have the great zoning coming out from Silvernail on the X-Dragon, and then they're going to have that frontline kind of protection and aggression with Grace and Arden. Plus, the Vox is CP. The zone on the CP Vox, that cause SLY a big headache in this game, Denomni.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That is kind of the one huge benefit that the side of DVI have here. With Finn being that slow member on the front line, if Sly give Vox too much of a time to get those resonance hits off, especially once the Dragon's Eye is complete, if Disowned goes down that path, Finn is a sitting target for the side of DVI to build up stacks. And if Disowned doesn't have, obviously with the resonance, he does not have to get past Keanu Nakoa. In fact, him hitting Keanu Nakoa with his main attacks and getting the resonance bounces outward is where this Vox is going to have the best damage potential. So actually pretty excellent use of minion candy here by the side of DVI. Keanu Nakoa taking a massive amount of damage early on from those minions, as well as that helps them stall out the wave. Now, obviously, Tyras and Techno JJ getting the Crystal Treant and that ambient gold there. And Techno JJ will be returning to the lane to start getting that gold farm going.
Yeah, I did notice that mini candy myself. On the side though, mini candy is such an underrated item. Denominated, like you said, you're able to stall out a wave push so nicely. First blood going over to DVI with Agony causing a lot of hassle, joining the Joker in that bottom lane and getting a kill onto Hundor.
Yeah, absolutely. Kinetic has a lot of potential to jump around the fights later on, but here early on, she can be a little bit susceptible if she gets too aggressive. Disowned doing an actually great job farming against Techno JJ right now. He's staying just on the edge of those supernovas. Beautiful use there of the Sonic Zoom to get away from that core collapse. Keanu Nakoa taking a little bit of damage from Nomad Vagabond, but nothing that the massive River Troll can't shrug off. And, pretty even game so far, but we do have a couple hundred gold starting to go over into the favor of DVI.
Yeah, I think that's going to be expected on the side. Now, Agony did steal away the weapon treant, the weapon buff on the side of SLY. That is how effective Meline can be in that early game with that aggression, and it can allow DVI to really maintain a nice, safe, and overall strong early game to then carry them into the late game with the likes of the CP Vox, with the likes of Silvernail up in that lane on side of X-Dragon. So I do like the overall balanced comp coming out from DVI. It's just a matter of if they can then survive the strong late game that SLY are going to have, Denominate.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there, Imperium. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm definitely glad you brought that up. I'm really looking forward to see what the Inara is able to bring to the table here. In my personal experience, I've seen a lot of hit or miss with Inaras. It's either I see an Inara really excel and be just a devastating force, or we see them fall behind. So I'm excited to see where Tyres is able to get. Actually, interesting pickup of the contract here from Tyres as well. If you want to maybe explain what he's going for with that.
So with the Dragon Blood contract, obviously that gives you a bit more of an early game aggression. You activate that onto an enemy hero and it gives you a bit of a stronger basic attack buff. It's similar to how it would be applied on the side of on a flicker. So it just allows for that early game to be a little bit more effective. But and it's pretty common in an hours I've seen so far, but we are seeing SLY coming together, trying to cause a little bit of hassle onto DVI. Jungle fights going on even in the first 4 minutes, Denominate.
Yeah, a little bit of a tussle here. Excellent play from Tyros there. They just don't have the damage quite yet to pick up the kill onto Disowned. So a little bit of a skirmish there, nothing too crazy. I think these guys are just going to get back to farming up so they can get those items together and start to really rack up that heavy damage that they're looking for. The Celeste really isn't going to take off until level 8. The Vox really won't take off until that alternating current is built. So we're definitely going to be playing for the late game between these two teams right now.
Yeah, it's going to be whoever hits that first 1 or 2 item power spikes. So really, if they can take advantage of that, that's where we will see the start of an initial snowball from either team. Denominator, yeah, just to expand a little bit on the Inaro with the Dragon Blow contract, why it kind of tends to work on her is because the way her kit works is it provides a lot of CC, so you're able to really apply that Dragon Blow contract quite effectively onto the enemy team, and then it allows the rest of your team to really make an effective engagement onto the enemy team. So either way, nicely done on the side of either team. Goal difference wise, it's about a K gold in the favor of DVI. I think it's to be expected considering you have the Meline early game. Overall, it's pretty similar between two teams. I'm just really excited on who really hits the first item power spikes. You do have Sneaky on the alternating current straight away, so let's see how that does play out. But Vox, its own, has also got alternating current, so it's very, very similar.
Yeah, and this is where a Vox really can start to be a pretty massive threat. He will get that additional crystal damage onto his main target, which can help him deal some of that direct damage. Again, the resonance bounces is really what we're going to be looking for out of that hero, though. We do have an alternating current. Oh, yep, down here we've got a little bit of a tussle breaking out. Hundor is looking for a kill onto Agony. Not quite able to find it. Agony throwing out the cute little charm there. And Maline's going to be safe to continue farming up that lane. Serpent's Mask complete for Hundor now, and that's going to be a lot of the sustain that we're going to see out of him. So definitely going to be looking for him to start making a little more aggressive plays, but specifically when he gets to level 8 is where Kinetic can really be scary.
Yeah, because you're able to provide that stun onto one of the enemy heroes with that A. You're able to really kind of slow them down, give the likes of the core collapse on the side of Celeste to really become effective. And also, one thing to point out, I'm kind of interested to see what Techno JJ does overdrive on that Celeste. Most people have been overdriving the core collapse. Denominated reason being is because it doesn't actually cost any extra energy to overdrive the core collapse, so it makes you a bit more effective, and the cooldown on it is a little bit lower. So I do expect that to come out on the side of SLY. DVI engaging.
Oh man, that's a huge play for the side of DVI. Keanu Nakoa, he's now on the run, disowned, and the rest of the team, they're going to go ahead and pick up that second kill. Third kill for them overall on the board. Meanwhile, looking over here, Hundor, he's getting into a little bit of a skirmish with the Joker, but obviously Grace up against a Kinetic with a weapon buff. That's not looking good for the side of Joker. He's going to go ahead and use that Divine Intervention on himself, but I think Tyras and Hundor, they should be able to get this Treant. That's going to be going over to Hundor there. As we see now, the rest of DVI, they're coming down. Hundor and Tyras, they are on the run for safety here, and they're going to make it out alive. But DVI have really stepped their game up, coming in from game 1 to game 2 here. And you know, we mentioned it at the beginning, I think these two teams are going to be back and forth and fairly even within each other, and they've been showing it so far.
Definitely, they're so very, like you said, they're very even. They're all very skilled players. It's always going to come down to the little bit of plays, a little bit of kind of synergistic plays that comes out from either team, catching the other team out and then reacting to that as effectively as possible. Like we see Sneaky, being that sneaky top lane that he is, securing a turret for his team, and it's actually the first turret to go down, and that's what makes kind of a team a little bit better, is when they're able to catch an opportunity individually and then react to that as a 5-man team. 8, nearly 9 minutes into this game, the goal difference is about 2k gold in the favor of DVI. They have a couple of the power spikes. You do have double Crucible on the side, but team fight in the bottom lane.
Yeah, we've got a little bit going down here. Hundor, he's about half health on the run. Tyra's right there with him. Nothing really comes of that one, though. Again, we're just now starting to get to the spikes for a lot of these heroes. Hundor, he's level 8. He's a little bit laggy for me right there. But, you know, he's got that weapon buff. He's got the overdrive on his A. No swing is getting taken here, but Sly, there's 4 of them here, and Techno JJ Celeste can easily take some opportunity to get the kill. Tyra's onto disown. Here comes the gauntlet. Not quite able to catch up onto Hundor, but Tyra's, he's trapped in there with the beast. Solar Storm going to come through, not quite enough to pick up the kills. Thundor now in a duel with Agony there. Agony taking the lesser to get out, and definitely that weapon buff here at Thundor is an incredibly scary duel potential. But that's a 5th kill on the board for DVI. There's number 6, and not really a whole lot Thundor can do about it. Oh, just kidding though. Techno JJ, sliver of health, able to pick up a kill onto Agony there. And that's at least 1 on the board for the side of Sly. You know, despite all the kills we've been watching go over to the side of DVI, we're only sitting at about a 1.5 coming up to 2K gold difference. So this is still anybody's game. And, you know, again, both of these teams have pretty predominantly late game setups, but I think DVI are just doing a better job right now capitalizing in the middle of this game.
Definitely, and also just like kind of, I noticed that this own went for Eve of Harvest second item. Eve as an item is definitely a lot more in the meta in the 3.8 patch. The healing that you get plus the energy regen you get is very effective, especially with CP kind of being a little bit more of a starved commodity within the Vainglory 5v5. So having an Eve of Harvest is very effective. I do expect him to build a Dragon's Eye third item on the side of the zone, but I do like the fact that the Eve of Harvest is just giving him a little bit more sustainability while Meme provides the burst damage, while Silvernail provides a strong basic attack damage. Overall, it's a balanced teamfight situation. Let's see what can happen as a 3-man in the mid lane against the 2-man on the side of DVI. Let's see what team can really get their act together in this 11.5-minute mark of this game. Blacklaw is about to spawn up.
Oh, the Force comes through onto the zone! Not quite going to get the kill. Joker does use that Divine Intervention. Solar Storm rips through the side of DVI, but Nomad Vagabond and Disown, they're still in this agony. He's still alive as well. Tyrus took quite a bit of damage on the side of Sly as well. That was a huge Force Accord from Keon and Nakoa. Unfortunately, we didn't get that follow-up stun coming out of something like the Core Collapse, or even the Inara hitting somebody into a wall, so little bit of missed timing there where I think Sly really could have picked up that kill. They've started up this dragon. They are going to be going for it. They do get the capture, but this fight's not over. Gauntlet is in, but it's immediately answered back. Burst of Judgment takes down Nomad Vagabond. Sneaky, he's going to fall. Tyrus, he's now on the run. He's going to drop. Can they clean up any kills here? Yana Nakoa is going to trade one out, but I think he's a sitting duck for this Maylene and Joker now. 9 kills, going on 10 for the side of DVI. What a huge play coming from the Ardent Gauntlet there. He may have fallen, he may have died in that fight, but he set up some perfect execution for the rest of his team, separated Hundor and Tyrus from that fight, and while it was a little bit of trades back and forth, definitely think DVI take the better half of that, as Sly had just got that buff from the Ghostwing. Well,
yeah, and SLY Sly, they did great in that team fight. That Force Corp was absolutely beautiful, and they reacted to that, even though it wasn't quite able to get the ace. They got the turret, but what happened was they got a little bit too greedy. We're only 30 minutes into the game. The death timers are still very low, Denominate. What you do is you get a single objective and walk away. They weren't exactly strong on health. They got a bit too greedy, got a little bit too ahead of themselves. They're already behind on gold, and DVI reacted, and they overall balanced the damage up. Let's see what can happen though, as we are going to see another Friday 14 fight.
Yeah, there's the Force Accord coming out. It is going to get crucibled away, and Sly, they are in a 4v5 situation here, so they are going to have to watch how hard they commit to this one. We see the light ribbons coming out of Maylene there, not quite able to find it. Meanwhile, Kinetic down there, Hundor was able to pick up a kill on that turret. However, it did give DVI vision that the side of Sly are separated, so they've started up the Black Claw now. Now it's a lot of damage getting put down onto Techno JJ there. They're going to have to run. That's going to be a dragon now going on over to the side of DVI. And I don't know if the one turret was really worth it. But it's
going to be second.
It really depends on how hard DVI push with this Black Claw, because it could very easily go to waste if they don't support it.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely got the support and reduced the agony in the zone going in. The zone is going to do a lot of work with that resonance bounces now if he can protect. The force accord is going to be up in about 14 seconds. Let's see if that is going to pay off. We do see Silvernail taking out Sneaky.
Is forced out of that fight, drops very, very low. Techno JJ, though, huge core collapse, following it up with that single Heliogenesis, able to take down Agony. Now they can start working on that dragon. However, that Black Claw did make it through 2 of that mid lane turret setup on the side of Sly. So they decided to DVI. They did get a decent push out of it, but that should have been some decent gold going over to Techno JJ there off the kill on that Maylene, and that may put him in a good spot now. He's got 1,300 gold to spend. I'd really like to see the Clockwork come online for Celeste, just for that additional spam potential, the additional stun potential coming out of that core collapse. But, man, GVI, they have stepped their game up from Game 1 to Game 2 here, Imperium.
Yeah, they have, but also SOY Sly, like, this is pro level gameplay. This is the epitome of pro level gameplay. Both teams are reacting phenomenally to each other. I've got to give credit to Sly though, where they're losing in some areas of the game, they're winning in others. Like, they push hard on the side lanes and they've got turrets because of it. DVR are winning on the mid lane, but Sly are, in my opinion, playing a little bit better as a 5-man team.
Yeah, DVI, they're coming in. Dasone is building up those stacks. Here comes the gauntlet. You see the health falling on Keanu Nakoa there. He is just a resonant spam for the team. Oh man, kills going back and forth. Sneaky and Agony both fall. Keanu Nakoa somehow still alive here in the middle, but that's going to be a kill now going on to Hundor. And DVI, they cleaned up pretty well there, but that bleed damage coming out is going to bring down Disowned. Agony, he did fall as well, but now the rest of DVI, they're looking for the cleanup kill. They've got about 15 seconds to bring Keanu Nakoa down for an ace. And I think they're going to be able to do it pretty clean there. That's going to restore their health bars, restore their energy, and they can start to go get some push on, or even just get some more farm going.
Push the bot lane. Push the bot lane. You can push that bot lane as a 3-man team and get at least one clear turret. Yes, I know they're going for mid lane and they could be going for the CP buff, but in my opinion, now they've actually lost the opportunity of getting an objective. And at this stage of the game, I know it's stereotypical denominator, but it's all about securing objectives. An ace should render an objective secure. Farming, buff, yeah, that's all well and good, but objectives are so important. Turrets get you ever so closer to securing the win. So DVI overall, in my opinion, a bad decision from a strong team fight win, but hopefully they will learn from that. We are nearly 80 minutes in this game, a lot closer. DVI, like you said, are playing a lot stronger as a team, but not only that, their comp is a lot more effective for their playstyle, for their synergy, and they are making it work quite nicely. The zone on this CP Vox has now the alternating current, Eva Virus and Dragon's Eye. So that Dragon's Eye is going to be causing a lot of hassle. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a fight break down here. Disowned building up stacks quite effectively. There goes the verse of Judgment. Sneaky, he is going to fall though. And now it's going to be Keanu Nakoa on the run. He is going to fall, certainly. We've got Hundor and Techno JJ trying to spread the damage out, but I think staying might have been a little bit of a misplay here. Hundor not quite able to find that kill, and he's going to drop. Now Tyrus is on the run. Techno JJ as well. The Heliogenesis are coming out and help Tyrus get away, but I think they should have just disengaged there, right? Like, any less room you give DVI right now is good for Sly. And now we've got another Black Claw up, and DVI have all 5 members there able to help take that one down. We're going to get it uncontested.
Solar Storm?
Yeah, it's a little bit late there. They didn't have any vision down. They couldn't see the health bar. It was just a shot in the dark from Techno JJ, and now that Solar Storm is down for the next fight, or at least the beginning of it. 32 more seconds on that cooldown.
Exactly, so that's definitely going to make this Celeste a little bit less effective. I know Solar Storm isn't the be-all and end-all, but I like what DVI are doing because they're focused on this top lane. They know it's going to be hard for them to secure this mid lane quite effectively, so by going for the top lane, they could even take the armory while the Blacklaw is going to be securing this mid lane as much as possible. Now, it's a wire going in hard to nominate.
Yes, they are. Oh man, Tyra's dropped dangerously low. DVI, they are going to go ahead and back off here. They feel pretty satisfied with that push. And we did see Hundor and Techno JJ trying to pick up something on the return there. Not quite able to get it. Here comes the Solar Storm. Crucible actually going to save the lives of the team. Agony is going to get some damage down here, but is this smart for them to say? Maylene now could be caught. Joker is in. Oh man, this is such a questionable fight. Oh, one kill on each side going down. The Joker and Kiana Nakoa fall. Those two supports. Now we do have Vox looking for a little bit more. Unfortunately, for the side of DVI, Sly turned it around. They pick up another kill onto Nomad Vagabond. They find another. Agony is able to return one onto Sneaky, but now with 3 members alive, Tyrus, Hundor, and Techno JJ, that's a lot of potential now with the death timers where they're at. We've got 12 seconds on Joker, who doesn't have the damage to really push back. This is a lot of gold swing now going over into the side of Sly.
It's so close. These teams are really bringing it all on the table to nominate. But looking at that last team fight, DVI should have completely backed off as a 5-man team. I don't quite get why they went back in. I know Keanu was away from his team and he died in the process, but it's all well and good killing the Finn, but when you leave the likes of Hundor, Techno, JJ, and even Tyrus alive on the map against a low health team with the Joker down on that Grace, they paid the price. DVI just don't be too greedy, my furry little friends. Take what you can get and get out of there, because this game is so close. If you give the enemy team any chance of advantage, they will punish you, and they will punish you hard. But this game is still so very close. These teams are essentially at pretty much their full build pass. You have Techno JG on the Spellfire, Dragon's Eye, Broken Myth, and the Eve of Harvest, which I definitely think is interesting, but does make sense with that Eve of Harvest. But then you have Sneaky. Unusual to see a full CP Adagio, but I like how effective the likes of the Versa Judgment is playing out for that Adagio with the alternating current Dragon's Eye, and then looking to build into most likely, I would say, an Eve of Harvest, and possibly as a last item, maybe a Dragon's Eye, just to build up those stacks, because these team fights are starting to be a little bit elongated. We both pointed out these two teams have very much late game comps, and we are seeing these late game team fights really starting to push these teams to their limits. Blacklaw has landed the nominate. Let's see who is going to react first, fastest, and most effective to it coming up on the Rise map.
And Gold Swing has actually gone over to the side of Sly at this point, and this is a really big opportunity for them. Celeste is in a great spot. We don't have the clockwork, but we have a lot of damage coming out from Celeste here. Hundor as well, 4 items complete into the kinetic. This fight's breaking out. Here comes Nomad Vagabond. Beautiful gauntlet stuns up Techno JJ, but the team's not in place to turn it around. Solar Storm rips through and finds a kill onto the Joker. And now it's DVI on the run. Nomad Vagabond trying to get out. He's gonna fall. Silvernail and Fox, they go down as well. And now Agony here. He is the lone survivor. Hundor gonna chase that one down. Meanwhile, the rest of Sly are looking to get into this mid lane, try to take down the armory. 30 seconds on the opposition. This could be Sly closing out the game.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of damage there for a second from the Vayne. They're taking down the other armory, and with nobody to stop them, I think this is game going over. Sly in 2 games, in what looked like a DVI game all the way up until about 2 fights ago. Sly turn it around 16 to 21, 70,000 gold to 67.
Yeah, it's like I said, you give the enemy team a chance to get back into the game, and they're gonna punish you, and that's exactly what DVI did. They realistically they let Sly get back in the last couple of team fights. But when you look over at those team fights and the engagements that came out, I get that Divine Vendetta had to engage with the gauntlet, but you also left the likes of the Force Accord on the map. You also allowed the Finn to become so effective, and when they did engage, they actually didn't engage on the full back line. They engaged around the Finn area, but the Celeste was protected, nowhere near being engaged on. Hunter was in no way being engaged on, and that allowed Sly to build up those stacks to get that core Solar Storm rip through the Divine Vendetta team, and then we saw Sly close out the team fight and really carry the game home. So really well performed by both teams. All credit to Divine Vendetta. The second game, they played a lot better comp. They played a lot better game as a 5-man team, but Sly just were overall just a little bit more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely can't sleep on the members of Sly here. Again, huge names in the Vainglory scene for Europe. And while the game has changed, you have to imagine that their skill level has not. I think they proved it pretty well here. But huge props to the guys on DVI. Coming into Game 2, they really stepped it up, and they showed that they are a team to be reckoned with for sure. And I'm excited to see more out of both of these teams, especially since we saw some pretty good games coming last weekend too. So I see some really interesting head-to-head games coming up as well.
Oh yeah, of course. The action is only just beginning to nominate because we have some awesome, an awesome second game ahead of you. It is going to be Team Invicta against Defy GG, the likes of Bidney Inferno, Jakov the Great, Boff Iraqi, CEO, and Flourish Joe. Now, the Team Invicta roster, and even the Defy GG, they're players that are not as known within the Vainglory Pro scene, but they are players that have been on the borderline, on the edge of glory, so to speak, on the side of Team Invicta, and they're hungry to prove a couple of points. Binny, in my opinion, is one of the strongest top laners within the EU Vainglory scene right now. Then on the side of Divide GG, you have the likes of Oscuri, Hunter RX, Tentacia, Imagination, Evolution, Amorph, and Doomslayer. Again, all these players, other than a couple, are kind of not as known in the Vainglory competitive scene, but they do have a strong reputation and they have a lot to prove and a lot to fight for in this EU Championship Cup, and I'm excited to see these teams go against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to be some fun ones to watch. And of course, I'm glad to be here doing it with you, Imperium.
100%.
Glad we get the cast again. Doing an excellent job, and I'm really excited to get into these next couple of games. As you know, you just went over, and here's the thing: you know a lot of the guys over here in the European scene a lot better than I do. So I really like to have your input and kind of catch me up to speed on where Europe's been, because unfortunately we didn't really have much showing for a European pro scene. Obviously not due to any of the players or anything. It's a whole new game. We're taking some time to rebuild here, but I'm excited to have this and what you guys put together. So we'll get ready to get into these next games.
Yeah, anyways, for this BO3 now, congratulations anyways to Team Slazer. Do take it home 2-0. So that means that then, we were supposed to have 3 games. It is 2-0, so unfortunately we're going to have to go into a small break period to be able to allow the next players to get ready. So indeed, the next match that we were talking about, it will be indeed Team Invicta up against Team GNG. So we'll be having a 25-30 minute break until that match comes up, and then we'll be just coming back to you guys. So do you have anything to add before we go in a short break, Imperium or Day?
I'm just looking forward to some more games, man. That was some of the more intense Vainglory I've seen in a long time. I personally, Imperium, don't like seeing snowballs. Seeing a game that was very back and forth, like the side of DVI and Sly, that's the Vainglory I want to see. That was a great way to start off the day, and I hope we have more games like that for you guys.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, well, we'll be seeing you guys in about 30 minutes. Stay put, get your drink, get your popcorn, and we'll be coming back for some more Vainglory action in 30 minutes. See you in a bit.
To escape. It will change your mood. When you're walking on the moon, walking on the moon, chase your happy place. It will change your groove. When you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our troubles seems to fade away. Some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel. When you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance again, that I've never been. That I've never been. Walking on the moon. One moment to escape. It will change your mood. When you're walking on the moon. Walking on the moon. Chase your happy place. It will change your groove. When you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel. When you take me to some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel. When you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance that I've never been. That I've never been. That I've never been.
see me, you still tell yourself you hate me. Unbelieve it lately. I know I'm still the villain of your story. You look me in the eyes like you don't even know me. Didn't kill you, didn't kill you, but I was there too, I was there too. You look me in the eyes like you don't even know me. 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 Maybe I can't learn my lesson. The same intentions, I can't find that same connection. Do you remember? I know I'm still the villain of your story. You look me in the eyes like you don't even know me. Didn't kill you, but I was there too, I was there too. You look me in the eyes like you don't even know me. You don't even know me. Don't even You don't even know. You don't even know me. You don't even know me.
These nights could freeze my conscience. Your body seems so harmless. Started in hotel lobby.
Hello and welcome back, boys and girls, once again for the second set of BO3 for this EU Champions Cup. Once again, I'm your host, Maxman. I'm going to be joined once again by my friends and fellow casters. I named Day Nominate and Imperium. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us there, Max.
Okay, so we've got a lot of action coming up into this second game, and so we're going to go a little bit more in detail as of the games that we'll be having today for this second BO3. So the match we're going to be having, so we already did have, if you did miss the first match, unfortunately, we did have an awesome match that did come to us. It was Divine Vendetta up against Team Sly, and Sly did go out victorious in an epic BO3, did go out victorious. It was a 2-0 situation, even though it was really close on the second game. Divine Vendetta had a really nice lead, but unfortunately did give it over to Team Sly. Then the match we're going to be having right now, guys, will be Team Invicta up against Defy GG. So we're going to be checking out a little bit in depth these players. So we're going to be checking out the rosters for both of these teams. So we're going to be seeing Team Invicta composed of Binny, Inferno, Jacob the Greatest, Boff, Iraqi, Siyun, and Florisho. And then for the side of Team Defy GG, we'll be having Oscuri, Hunter RX, Temptation, Imagination, Evolution, Amorph, and Doomslayer. So if you guys play a lot of ranked in Vainglory 5v5 in the EU scene, you definitely saw a bunch of those names, and they are definitely here players that you should not like oversee, or they will take you down. So guys, what are your expectations for this match? Hello?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, sorry, I just Imperium knows a lot more of these guys than I do and what they're capable of. So hopefully he'll be here to shed a little bit of light on it for us. Obviously,
can you guys hear me now?
America. Yeah, yes,
we got
you can.
There you go. So I'll get something right eventually. But no, like obviously we're expecting a lot of high-level gameplay. At the end of the day, a good few of these rosters, and especially on the side of these two teams, is that overall they're very new. Now I know a lot of these players are very they're very kind of enthusiastic about proving themselves as a team and within a team. So they would have practiced a lot, done a lot of preparation, and the likes of Hunter X is always looking to play as good as he can and be the best support player that he can. But what's going to come down to denominate is realistically synergy. How synergized these teams are in terms of their optimal play style, how quick they react to a situation, and then winning a team fight, and how they do look to potentially snowball a game. But I'm expecting it a little bit similar to the DVI and Sly game in terms of high level gameplay. But we are into the draft for this first game to nominate.
Yeah, we absolutely are. It looks like the Yates is going to be coming off the board immediately on the side of TIV. So we'll have to see where they end up going with that one. Obviously, Team Invicta, you know, one of the teams that you were really hyping up. So I'm excited to see what they're able to pull off here, agree?
Yeah, like I said, with Team Invicta, I do know a couple of players, most notably Binny, Florisho, Boff, who isn't playing, but Binny, Florisho, and even Iraqi I know of a little bit more. But Binny touted as one of the best top laners right now, unknown top laners, at least in the game right now. And so I'm excited to see what he can pull off in that role, because I feel it's a little bit of an understated role, a little bit kind of not heavily focused on, but can really be a game changer when an effective top laner does come into play, especially late game team fights. But we do see straight away the Anka ban comes out from Defy GG, and then the second ban is interestingly Silvernail Churnwalker. Because the reason why I said Silvernail is because I was actually thinking it would have been a Silvernail ban coming out from Team Invicta, but they have gone for the Churnwalker ban.
Yeah, Churnwalker's been one that we've seen taken off the board quite a bit, along with the Yates. Again, haven't seen really a whole lot of impressive gameplay from the Yates, because he has a lot of potential, but he can also just be so easily countered. And that's kind of one of his downfalls is the Finn. I mean, specifically the Finn. Churnwalker.
The Finn and even like Silvernail.
Yeah. The Churnwalker is just crazy, right? Like, so Churnwalker has that potential to very quickly set up a team-wide stun, as well as deal additional damage around the team. And you know, overall, it's just, that's one that we're going to see banned pretty consistently as long as he's this dominant in the meta. I mean, you obviously can get that team-wide stun on heroes in the backline, on heroes that are diving your own teammates, and it really sets up for a lot of outplay potential, especially since I personally would say it's one of the harder stuns to block of the team-wide stuns.
Definitely, it is very, very hard to block, and when it's pulled off, it can be a big game changer. But either way, into this draft, we see the likes of the Silvernail locked in, Grace and Rez on the side of Team Invicta. I do like that comp, but most similarly, I love the Lorelei Arden now in narrow comp that's coming out from the VGG. What I do notice is that both comps are pretty mobile right now. You could say the Team Invicta is a little bit more frontline aggressive with the Grace and the Reza, and then we're going to have the Silvernail on a bit of the midline / backline, being able to zone out and put out those kind of zoning tools in his kit. But then, yeah, when you look at the 5GG, they have the Arden and the Inara and the Lorelei, a lot of slow, a lot of CC, and really is able to ramp up and play nicely with the Celeste. But then now the Lyra comes into play, coming very much back into the meta in the 3.8, especially in this competitive scene. These players are able to get the most out of the Lyra with that bright bulwark and stop a frontline engagement coming out from the enemy team. I do like that, followed by a Samuel. What that tells me is that is going to most likely be a weapon power Reza. I would find it very surprising if, well, actually no, maybe it might be a CP Reza and a weapon power Grace. Actually, it could be. Let's see how it does play out. But I do like the idea of a weapon power Reza just because it's a little bit more interesting and less meta denominating.
Yeah, the weapon power Reza was pretty dominant before the tension bow nerfs to me. So I think Reza's back in his crystal comfort zone, and I think that's great. He puts out a huge amount of potential, even just going back to crystal. I mean, tension bow, we all gotta admit, was pretty broken there for a while.
Really? I didn't notice, mate. Didn't notice.
that tension cannon, but yeah, we got some good drafts here from the two teams. Definitely love the Celeste, one of my favorite heroes, as much as I don't like to admit it, because I also secretly talk trash about Celeste all the time. But anyway, she's one of the most fun to watch. She has a huge damage potential. She brings a lot of zoning to the team as well, so there's definitely a lot of potential for her to keep the enemy from engaging. So that's going to be that heavy hitter on their side, and that's who they're going to be relying on. Meanwhile, we're really going to have to look for those mid-game power spikes coming out of the Reza here on the blue side.
Yeah, definitely the mid lane power spike, the mid game, sorry, should I say, power spike coming out from Flourish. Flourish is a really competent jungler. I've been playing jungler main overall since 5v5 first came out, so he has a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and he's going to be able to use the Reza very strongly. And I've played against him as a Reza, and he's pretty damn dangerous. Even though I'm not the best player in the world, he can be very, very effective in a team fight. So let's see how these first couple of rotations do go out, as a Team Invicta trying to secure that crystal tree. Indeed, it is taken.
Yeah, it does look to be the case now. Flourish, he's on the run. Let's see if he's able to make it out. It's gonna be, oh man, if that tree could have looped him up, that would have been bad for the side of Team Invicta. But they're able to get in and get out safely, which, even though they didn't really get much of anything, is better than losing out. So,
well, yeah. And then we saw Defy take the CP tree on the opposite side, but we are seeing Defy engaging even more into the enemy jungle, getting called out.
Yeah, absolutely. First blood is going to go over to Iraqi on the Silvernail, and that's going to put one up on the board. Obviously, going down the weapon path on that Silvernail. We do have Reza going down that crystal path. Again, it makes a lot of sense to me. His burst potential with things like the Aftershock, even potentially the Spellfire if we don't go down the Clockwork. There's still a lot that Reza brings to the table either way. And he can be a huge threat to deal with in the mid-game. Hunter RX is getting a bit of damage down onto Samuel, but it's immediately answered back. And that's really one of the more devastating lane duos, in my opinion, is a Samuel and a Lyra. They have range, and they both have sustain, and that can make them incredibly difficult to deal with, unless if you set up a good gank potential thankfully for them, they have things like the Gauntlet and the Inara, and even a potential good stun out of Lorelei with the fish food could set up some good plays.
That's true, but definitely when you talk about mention the Lyra Samuel, they also realistically, especially in the early game, directly counter the mid lane coming out from the fight. Because Lyra does counter Arden quite big time with that Bright Bulwark, and then we do see Jacob the Great on the Samuels able to really CS and put a lot more pressure in this early game compared to tend to see on this list. So I'm definitely interested to see how it does play off on Flower Show going in.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Good core collapse. Bright Bulwark comes out a little bit late, and Inara is able to make it away. But it is going to be a kill answered back onto the Reza, obviously. And Tenation, that was definitely some well-placed heliogenesis there. Also, obviously, you can't run from the Celeste basic attack. It is slow, but it will follow you forever. So, you know, we gonna have to watch out for some of those. But overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. The teams aren't scared to be aggressive, you know, whether they end up paying for it in the end or not. It really sets up for some exciting game potential, so we'll have to see where they go. Definitely excited to watch the interaction with how Inara is going to deal with the Silvernail in the Lyra. We talked about how difficult dive can be against those two heroes, and the Inara and the Idris, they're going to struggle with it for the majority of the game, even though Inara will likely be a little bit more of a supportive build.
Yeah, exactly. And the slight risk of that being a slight more of a supportive build is that you're relying a lot of the damage to come from the Idris and the Celeste. And when you look over at the side of Team Invicta, they essentially have one more offensive hero with the Reza, Silvernail, and Samuel. So even though late game, I would slightly give it over to Defy GG because of the Celeste having long range, Idris hitting his power spike, and the likes of the fish food, and the plays come out with the Gauntlet. From a pure damage item and an offensive point of view, Team Invicta do counter that quite effectively, but it's all going to be catching the enemy team out, and Binny goes under turret so he doesn't get caught out top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a great job holding off against the opposition right now. Grace is definitely a hero in an interesting spot, right? So she can flex pretty hard. Oh, yeah. Silvernail taking quite a bit of damage down here. They're not quite able to get into position for the kill. Good use of the boots there to get out.
But look at the
early purchase by Reki. Yeah, absolutely. In mid lane, we've got a lot of damage coming down onto Jakov, but he is going to make it out alive. That Treant is now being potentially contested. Here comes the Inara. That's still going to go over to Jakov the Greatest.
There's a reason why he is called the Greatest, but now we see Binny going in quite nicely with that kind of Holy Nova, looking to get in hard. I do like that Binny rotated down. Quite effective play coming out from a top laner. It's kind of what you expect. Looking at his build path denominate, I interestingly went for the Stormguard first item. Hey, look, I would normally go for full weapon power or Grace, to be perfectly honest. Sarblade, Tension Bow. Maybe that's just me being a little bit safe, but let's see how it does play out for this Team Invicta and for Binny himself into this game. We're seeing that 6 minutes in, Ghost Wing is up, push come out from Team Invicta in the bottom lane looking to secure the turret, but now the 5GG rotating down trying to catch him out.
Yeah, and Celeste comes through with a huge stun onto Silvernail. Bright Bulwark is out. Hunter RX taking quite a bit of damage as well as Tenation. Here comes the Solar Storm, not quite enough to take down Iraqi. They're going to be sticking into this fight. Now here comes Samuel with that drifting dark down. Tenation, he's on the run. Arden doing his best to block out some of those Malice and Verdicts. Obviously, we've got Lorelei doing the same. That turret does not fall, but a huge push. Here comes the Gauntlet. Oh, that's a kill quickly picked up by Idris. And now Inferno, he's going to have to be on the run with Iraqi there. Excellent rotation coming out of the side of Defy. That opens them up a clear Ghostwing. However, Binny in the top lane, he is going to get that turret for his trouble with that Stormcrown.
If they capture the gold string, it's going to be a better payoff for Defy GG, as they have evened up the gold. It's only about 500 between them. It was about 1.5k in favor of Team Invicta, but this is Defy GG starting to play a little bit better. You mentioned the core claps coming out from Tennessee. They have been absolutely on point, even in the early stages of this game, before Celeste really hits her power spike. Having that Spellfire hitting those core claps, that Solar Storm was perfect considering it's only level 1, so the range of it isn't the most effective. That is the kind of rotation that you love to see coming out from these top level teams to nominate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Meanwhile, Benny, he is in a fight with an Inara and a Idris. He's going to go ahead and boots on out. I think that was the smart call. That's a painful duo to try to deal with. It's going to make it out alive. Meanwhile, over here in the mid lane, do have Tenation trying to get some damage down. There's a huge supernova taking, Benny, he's in low on health. Another supernova is going to start chunking away the team. Benny barely makes it out alive. Solar Storm rips through. He's going to have to pop the healing flask there, as well as we have the Crucible. Divine Intervention is down. Samuel is going to be safe, but it's going to be a kill going over to the Inara as they pick up the Silverdale. They pick up a second onto the Grace. Meanwhile, Idris, he's trying to find the damage onto Samuel, not quite able to get there, and that's a return kill for Team Invicta. And now it's Nation and a Hunter RX. They got to be careful. They're sitting in a 3v2. Inara is low health on the other side of the fight, and Lorelei all the way across the jungle, just now working her way into this lane.
Yeah, really great rotations coming out from Defy GG. I've noticed that, and I've said it before, as a 5-man team, they're rotating just a little bit more effectively. They were responding a little bit faster to nominate, and they are turning it around in their favor. The gold is still very similar between the two teams. We did see the bottom lane turret on the side of Defy GG go down, but either way, what I'm feeling is as we get into the late game, after the 10-12 minute mark, this is going to be Defy GG's game to win, to grab hold of and run with this, so to speak, philosophical ball that is Vainglory 5v5. Because, you know, as we start to see, Tentacion isn't even on his second item power spike, and he's still ripping through Team Invicta with that damage. So you gotta prepare for the future, and this Celeste is only going to get stronger and stronger to nominate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Celeste has been one of those heroes for a long time, and if you can get to the late game, you can really start to take over any team fight, realistically. I mean, we've seen teams in the past run solo carry Celeste and be able to pull it off. Now, it's pretty risky putting all your eggs into that basket, but it can be done because of how strong Celeste can get. Meanwhile, we do have a War Treads, it looked like, popped there on the side of Team Invicta. Maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing stuff. Maybe it was a Imperial Sigil burst. But oh, the stun comes through onto Samuel. Another one. There's the fish food. Jackov the Greatest. He's been kept out of that fight. But Defy, they didn't push that advantage. They had a huge stun lock onto Samuel there. And I would have liked to see them take advantage of that. And meanwhile, now it's Team Invicta turning things around. Nara is going to make it out. Meanwhile, Idris, he's pushed into that top lane. Samuel is just barely going to make it out alive. Jackov the Greatest now on the run. Here comes Hunter RX. Not a lot of energy on the side of Team Invicta, and they're losing a 4v5 here. Defy in complete dominance on this team fight. Meanwhile, Jackov the Greatest, he is going to make it into the mid lane. As a Samuel, he'll very quickly be able to clear out this lane, get himself some gold, and then we'll likely see him go ahead and recall, top up his health and energy, and spend some of the 1,000 gold that he has. Not a ton he can put it to, but anything for energy or generation for him at this point is key for his success.
True, but like you pointed out, the 5GG essentially won a 4v5 engagement. Just to point out, Oscuri took a top lane turret and he had 2.9k gold in his pocket. Boom! Tension Bow purchase second item power spike, Defy GG. Let's rotate it as a 5-man team. Black Claw is up, force a team fight, win it, move on, take Black Claw. That is what will be the snowball effect. However, on the other side, we do see Jack of the Greatest has got his second item, which is indeed a Spellfire. So you got Dragon's Eye Spellfire. Their comp base is very much building up stacks, but let's see how it is going to pan out in these team fights.
Yeah, Evolution is in a nice spot here on the Inara. Definitely able to stun up multiple targets if he gets into the right spot. We do have Contract coming out there. Tenation, he's setting himself in a little bit of a risky situation. He came very forward. Now, I know Inara and the Arden are low, but if you're going to lose out anybody right now, you do not want it to be Tenation here on the Celeste. So, a little bit of a risky play in my opinion. Fortunately, Team Invicta did not capitalize on it. But this has been a really interesting match so far. We've seen both of these teams get really interesting fights, find themselves really interesting fights. Here comes the Idris, though. Finds a good chunk of damage down onto Samuel there. Now, fortunately, Samuel, he's got some pretty good sustain. He's got Lyra coming into the lane with him. However, he's still struggling on the energy regeneration right now. So we really need to see a Clockwork come out as soon as we can so that Samuel can spam the Malice and Verdicts, have Drifting Dark up more frequently, and be more of an impact for this team. Meanwhile, it's going to be the side of Defy GG taking down that bottom turret. Celeste raining in those Heliogenesis, those pretty little cauldrons do quite a bit of damage to objectives.
Plus, with that splash in, it does create something we're seeing a team fight.
Yeah, here we do. The Gauntlet is down. A lot of damage coming out on the Silvernail quickly. The Solar Storm is out. Doesn't quite find the connection it's looking for, but they're going to find a kill onto Benny. That actually looked like a stun out of the Divine Intervention there, so huge play from Tenation. He's doing an excellent job on this Celeste. Now, 2 kills on the back of that fight. They're going to look for the Ghost Wing for themselves and try to get another chunk of gold in their pocket. Flourish did come over looking for the steal. He was a little bit early. Can Lyra get it, though? That's not going to be the case. Arden cleans that one up for the side of Defy GG.
Oh, man. Defy GG, they are using their comp so effectively. They've turned the gold around in their favor. Just to point out, was it always about between 1,500 and 500 ahead for Team Invicta, but now it's turned around in the favor of Defy GG because they're starting to hit these Team 5 power spikes. This is where it's starting to pay off to nominate.
Yeah, a little bit of damage tossed out there. Not a whole lot to come off the back of it. There was some good poke, but neither team really had a clear opportunity there. The Solar Storm does whip out. The Divine Intervention going to reduce some of that damage as well as give Jack of the Greatest a bit of health back. That's going to be a turret for Defy GG, and they're going to go ahead and take that victory and move on out. And I think that's smart because Idris was too far away. He wasn't there for that team fight. It's perfectly acceptable to take the turret, take the safe way out, get your team to get some shopping done. As we see Tenation rotating over here, hyper farming this Celeste up, getting the farm now from the bot wave because it was pushed so far in. And this is going to excel Celeste through the later stages of the game. We almost have that broken myth complete. He's going to get it right now. But,
Team Invicta getting Black Claw?
Yeah, it does look to be the case. Can we see a steal come out from OK's Fury here? Nope, that one's going to be going over to Lyra. Excellent take there by the side of Team Invicta. Huge stun coming down onto Evolution, but he's still in this. The Gauntlet is down. Benny is finding some damage onto Amorph. They do eventually lock down the kill onto Inara. They find themselves Curry as well on the Idris, and now that's going to give them a huge opportunity to start pushing some damage in here. Reza does fall in the end of things, but that's the choke point turret answered back by Team Invicta. Solar Storm rips through, Core Collapse and Fish Food getting the stun. Vinny is going to go down on the Grace, and just like that, Tenation and Amorph are able to answer back. Now they'll be able to get some of this Dragon's health cleaned up, get some gold back in their pockets. Maybe just in time to save the turret. Not quite. That's going to be another choke point turret. Or another central lane turret going over to the side of Team Invicta. Meanwhile, they're also rotating down, trying to get some more gold onto Silvernail here. As Iraqi, he's really going to be one of the primary damage sources of Team Invicta. Samuel really only his strongest while the Drifting Dark is down. And with the way that Defy GG are spreading out, he hasn't had as much of an impact as I'd like to see.
Definitely, but by the way, on a side note, Team Invicta were so responsive to Defy GG being spread out in that after that last kind of the previous team fight engagement, which they won. And you said that they were right to take the turret, but the issue is that they played it too safe. They didn't look to snowball it, and now we've seen Team Invicta come right back into this game. And you've got to maintain the pressure against these higher level teams. You give them a chance to get back and do it. That's what they're doing as another team fight occurs.
Yeah, they are. Benny is in, but I think Defy want to play this one a little bit safe and try to get some more damage poked out by Tenation with the Celeste. That's really their best team fight.
Oh my god!
Oh, a huge stun almost came through, but it was a ultimate coming out of Reza that got him out alive. He ends up going a little too far and gives up his life. Health bars are so low on the side of Defy GG. Got a couple healthy members of Team Invicta left, but it is a 4v5. Both teams decided that's enough. Team Invicta not wanting to go too far underneath the turret there, and definitely Defy GG not wanting to give up too much of their small victory that they had there in that fight. That was an incredibly close fight.
Oh, it's incredibly close. Defy GG far from out of it. Same with Team Invicta. Let's see what can happen as the Inara is engaging hard.
Yeah, they absolutely are. A quick kill comes down onto Samuel. Caught a little bit too far out, and that is one of the things you really got to be careful of if you're one of the carries. He was caught out way too far without his team. This is giving an opportunity for a Ghost Wing to Defy GG. Flourish and Iraqi, they're here and trying to get the steal. It looks like they burned their abilities too quick. Solar Storm does rip through the health bar of Flourish there, but he's going to be able to heal up thanks to our friend over here, Lyra. And then Imperial Sigil will likely get himself a health tree here as well. That'll put him in a good, healthy position for the next fight.
Indeed, then we look into the 19.5-minute mark in terms of the build pass. You see Tentacion only has a reflex block and 4 damage items. I kind of want to say I wish he had to go for a 5th damage item, but either way, he has the Spellfire, Eva Farvis, Broken Myth, and Frostburn, which is going to slow the enemy team down quite effectively, allowing for the core collapse to be more effective, allowing for the Idris and Inara to deal out more damage. This is a 5GG going on to Iraqi.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and he is dropped once again. Someone gets caught out a little too far, and that's gonna probably end up being a free Black Claw going over to the side of Defy GG. And this has been a pretty interesting game. Defy is constantly keeping dominant control of the team fights, but we do see Team Invicta, they've had really good map control throughout a majority of this game. They've had good takes on Black Claw himself, and they've also pushed turrets effectively as well, but now it's Defy's turn with the Black Claw marching. I don't know if Team Invicta feeling too comfortable right now.
No, they are far from feeling comfortable. They're going in.
Huge gauntlet followed up by the core collapse. Solar Storm rips through Samuel's health and brings him down. And that was one of their best potential for stopping this dragon. That huge splash potential that could come out of the Samuel is now gone. Defy, they may be looking for more here. Tenation, the long range on this Celeste, they're easily going to get this armory. And now with Idris joining the fray, there is going to be a lot of damage coming through here onto this Vein Crystal. I think this one might be going over to Defy, but we have to see if they can pull anything out of their backpack here. Iraqi is going to drop, followed by Inferno, and I think that's going to be closing the game out for Defy here. What an excellent show, back and forth game all the way. Huge control for a majority of the game out of the side of Invicta, but man, Defy just controlled the fights.
Yeah, when you look at their comp, even though I mentioned that it was a small bit of risk, offensive itemization wise, relying on the Celeste and the Idris, one, Tentacion played this Celeste perfectly. Positionally was absolutely perfectly on point. Oscuri with that Idris hit the power spikes right and made them very effective. But part of the reason why it worked is because they had the Inara being able to provide that front line tankiness with Oscuri, and then you were leaving Hunter X to provide a lot of protection to Tentacion. So it's very balanced denominator. It worked very much in the favor for Defy GG. Where it didn't pay off for Team Invicta, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the build path that came out from Binny. There's no Atlas, there's no real other than the Crucible. I don't think the Stormcrown was the right idea. I do like the War Threads, but Capacitor Plate, in my opinion, you're 2 patches old, mate. You are 2 patches behind the times. It just didn't work for themselves. Not saying that Binny's build path was the core reason why they lost, but it definitely did not help this situation. I would have preferred a core damage item like a Sour Blade, and then a lot of tanky defense like a Crucible, then a Fountain. It would have been a lot more effective, in my opinion, for Team Invicta. But it's a best of 3 series to nominate, so either way, they have another chance to get back into the game. Their drafting was far from bad. It was a very solid draft that came out from Team Invicta. They just got to really play on the power spikes and the build paths maybe be a little bit more optimized.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think our buddy Maxman has some things to say, so let's bounce it over to him as we get ready for Game 2 between these 2 teams.
Yeah, indeed, congratulations for the first game that did go over to the side of Defy GG. So now it is a BO3, so we're going to be going into the second game very, very soon. And something I want to talk about real quick about that game is Temptation on that Celeste. He was completely unharmed throughout every single team fight. And when you have picks such as, for example, a Reza that was up on the side of Team Invicta, you must be the one to pull the trigger. If you don't do so, you're going to allow the Celeste to just scale up her damage and just smack you down, and also lay out a Heliogenesis and just zone you out completely. So next time if they got the kind of similar draft, I want to see the side of Team Invicta being the team to pull the trigger. But we're going to have to see how that's going to work out throughout the draft for this second game. Just going to be getting the players ready. We are missing 1 player right now, and we should be ready to jump right into it, guys.
Yeah, and that also comes down to the fact that, once again, and by all means, I am in no way completely targeting, but in a team fight situation, Binny just didn't feel as effective as the Inara. It didn't really feel quite as on point as let's say, the likes of the Lorelei. That comes down to rotation and really team-wide engagement at the right time. If he was with Flourish, and maybe it was also Flourish going too much on the backline too early and getting caught out, because I've played with Flourish quite a bit, and he tends to do that a little bit, and he tends to be a little bit too aggressive a little bit too often, and that could have been part of the reason why it didn't work in the favor of Team Invicta. But we're in the draft this second game, and I'm excited to see what both teams pull out.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Anka taken off the board immediately. That is one of these stronger picks in this update, in my opinion. The potential for Anka to just jump into a fight, and with that close range, she can just really be a devastating threat. I mean, you see people's health bars go from 100% to 10% like that. You know, it's a lot of damage potential that can come out of that. We've got a Lorelei taken off, and then Kinetic banned away again. Now, this is very different than what we saw early on. We did see quite, in the first set of games at least, we saw a lot of prioritization on the captain bans. This matchup has not been the same.
No, it hasn't. No, it does leave open the likes of the Reza, the Yates, the Finn not being taken off the table. Seems like Arden is going to look to be picked up by the fight. They do, rather than going for the Finn and the Yates. Team Invicta, this leaves them both Finn and Yates. If they get the double pull combo, that can be so damn devastating. You follow it up with the likes of a Celeste or even a Scarf. Man, that will allow so much pull, so much kind of aggressive play to come out from Team Invicta. It seems like they are hovering over that double combo. This is it's starting to come up to be a very interesting draft from both teams. I do think that even though they have the Finn possibly locked in, I feel like they could actually do with Taken. No, they haven't. I think leaving the Celeste open to Tentacion is a dangerous and risky move coming out from Team Invicta, because they are going for a similar based second pick with Dianara being hovered over Denomine.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That double pull can be incredibly devastating, especially if Yates is able to get a sneaky play onto one of those backline carries, threading the needle, so to speak, to get into like pull a Celeste out of a comfortable position. Even maybe grab an escaping Reza. So there's a lot of potential on the side of Team Invicta for this game. IGG, though, man, they had such dominant team fight control in the first game. I really want to see how Team Invicta are able to answer back to that. While the Finn and the Yates can set up some pretty wild plays, they're also not the most mobile heroes, and you have to be a little cautious on the rest of the team you build around it. We've now got a Finn, Yates, and Tony. We've got a lot of tanky front line, but you can't leave the rest of your team too exposed.
No, of course, for sure. But I do want a potential risk on the side of the Defy comp when it comes into the late game, as Celeste has been locked in by Iraqi for Team Invicta. Is yes, Reza and Ara are very much engage heavy comp coming out from Defy. Now you have the Vox, and most likely will be a mid lane CP box, as you saw in the previous series. But the fear I have with that comp is when you have to late game situation, the Reza and the Inara become a little bit kind of exposed and defunct, because you have such a tanky front line, such a CC heavy comp with the Finn and the Yates that they can't get past. I know they're a little bit more mobile, but there's only so much mobility, or the mobility is only going to get you so far. So definitely fear that is a risk coming out from Defy, but they do follow up with a Silver Nail. I like the Silver Nail pick because that does counter the Yates quite effectively. Now with the last pick on the side of Team Invicta with a Gwen. Gwen is such a strong bot laner right now, up there with the likes of Kinetic and Silver Nail. Overall, I like the two comps. Once again, I feel they're overall very similar in terms of synergy-wise. I just fear that the late game is going to go against Defy GG and towards Team Invicta. But let's see how it does pan out, Denomine.
Yeah, it'll answer very quickly here. I love seeing the Celeste and the Finn combo here. Iraqi had a wonderful performance in game one. Obviously, we're now on Gwen, who's a much different hero, but only time will tell and see if he's able to get a little bit better of a grasp on this one. You do have that additional chance to escape, almost like a built-in reflex block. So we'll have to see from there what they're able to pull off. Maybe we could get a little bit more damage coming out of him, since he's not going to be locked up so much. But they really are going to have to watch out for the Reza and Tenation. Such a dominating presence in game one on the Celeste. He's now got himself this Crystal Vox. That can be a scary combo. There's a lot of cluster that I can see coming out of the side of Team Invicta already.
Oh yeah, of course. This is going to be Team Invicta having to be very careful about position. Already Inferno being put under a lot of pressure by Defy GG.
Yeah, absolutely. Inferno, he's got that big tanky troll, but at the same time, you got to remember, he does not have any way to escape. That troll is tanky but slow, so we'll have to see what they're able to do with that again. Finn, such a excellent, what's the word I'm looking for? Like gateway for Vox, a Crystal Vox, to really excel, especially with the Tony and the Yates on the team. So I have to see how they play around that one.
Oh yeah, it's going to be stacks for days come to late game for Tentacion on this Vox. Interesting in terms of what his comp will end up being. If it's going based on the last series, it will be an alternating current Eve of Harvest, then going into the Dragon's Eye, followed by maybe Spellfire or Broken Myth. But I would like to see the alternating current followed by Dragon's Eye as a second item, because I think that'll just allow for him to ramp up a little bit more in these team fights. But all depends on how Defy play the early to mid to late game going into this comp, and let's see what can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Tenation already starting the damage off good here. Inferno is forced to use that flask, as well as Jack of the Greatest is forced to use it as well. Tenation not looking too healthy himself, but he has saved that that healing flask, so that gives him a little bit of flexibility to almost be a bait, to be that target that sits out low on health. Oh, good stun there from Jack of the Greatest, but did he pay for it with his life? He did. I'm gonna throw out not worth on that one, but there's only got a couple minutes into the game here, 2.5 minutes. Anything could happen. We'll have to see where this all goes. But Tenation, again, he was so impactful in the first game on the Celeste. I'm excited to see what he can do on this mobile hero Vox that can really just start shredding teams apart.
Definitely, the debate he became debated in that situation. Looking at a CS point of view, he's already on 19 CS, whereas Jack of the Great is only on 10. That's a massive 9 to 10. Okay, now he's on 12, but that's nearly a 10 CS difference already in the first 3 minutes. If he continues that up, this Vox is going to be hitting the power spike either the same time or earlier than the Celeste, and Jack of the Great is being put under pressure by Evolution and Oscuri, looking to take away the Crystal Treant on the side of Team Evicta.
Yeah, second kill on the board. Amorph, huge play there, and what a different play style we're gonna have to see out of him this game. Last game, obviously on the Lorelei, totally different gameplay style than we see on a Reza. So we'll have to see how they deal with that. Tenation did miss that big minion there. That is going to be a little bit of CS loss. Now, the biggest thing that Tenation is going to have to worry about is specifically around that level 8 mark, where Celeste is going to drastically outrange him. He does have that potential to get that backline damage by bouncing off of Inferno, but the zoning potential from Jack of the Greatest can be really difficult for a Vox to deal with if they don't play it correctly.
Exactly. Plus, as Jack of does use the healing flash just to keep himself alive in that team fight underneath the turret, but also Denticina is going to have to be really careful about Iraqi on this Gwen, because the Gwen is going to be able to burst down this Vox as Cess does lose her life quite effectively. So I definitely think once the rotations start happening between Florishow and Iraqi, they will start to balance the books, so to speak, but Iraqi being caught up by a morph.
Yeah, absolutely. Reza is on a little bit of a rough spot here now with Tony answering back. But here comes Evolution. Can he find the kill? That's going to be the health treant going over to Gwen, but thanks to a recent update, that was quickly taken away by Evolution. They're going to find one. I don't know if they're going to be able to find the kill onto Tony. They're not. But, man, what a play coming out of Defy there.
Yeah, Defy working well with her rotations. Huntorax has the Crucible first item. Very wise pickup coming out from himself in this second game, looking to start, as he means go for Tendency, possibly being put under pressure by Inferno, but is just able to build up those basic attacks quite nicely, having the alternating current first item, a lot of DPS, a lot of effective play coming out. We do see a morph on this Reza, has the aftershock as well, so Jack of the Greatest is going to have to be very careful. Gauntlet!
Oh man, there's the gauntlet dropping down. Inferno, he's dead. Jack of the Greatest is dying as well. Easy cleanup for Team Defy GG there. They're now making a quick rotation through the jungle to get some of that extra gold, that weapon buff. Well, it is a Crystal Vox. Having that ability to slow the enemy and get more hits out, that is a lot more damage potential that he's going to have by spreading out that crystal. It's going to make it hard for his primary target to get away, and then that's what's going to really allow him to start getting damage onto Jack of the Greatest or Iraqi. But man, this is going to be a rough game for Benny, Inferno, and Florida on the triple melee here.
Definitely, and that's the fear. You let the CP Vox, who is a very much a late game hero, get to that early mid lane phase of the game ahead of your own comp, and you just give the Vox all the tools to win the team fight. And when you look at the CS, Tentacion is on 63 and Jakov is only on 38. That's nearly double the CS. Jakov is not so much the greatest, as Benny's about to get caught out in that bottom lane.
Yeah, Benny taking a bit of damage there, though. Yates is very, he's pretty tanky. Not the greatest, got some stun potential. Obviously, he's going to be building a little bit more of a defensive build, kind of like a secondary tank for the team there with the Arden. And I think that's a really, or not the Arden, the Finn, sorry. But I think that's a really interesting duo, as Inferno does get picked off by Nation there. Again, the River Troll just not really able to have a lot of freedom. He's so slow that if he gets jumped on, he's basically going to go down every fight. Again, a huge gateway for Vox to have a really good game. Jakov the Greatest is struggling here in the mid lane to get his items online. We have an alternating current completed for Nation, and he has the gold to work into that Eve of Harvest, whereas Celeste still working into that first item, which is either going to be the, I would expect the Shattered Glass or the Dragon's Eye.
Exactly, and then when you look at the fact of Team Inferno, they do not have a Crucible right now. I would imagine Binny would have built a Crucible of Flarshow going in there with that bada boom.
Yeah, it was a good disengage there. We've got Iraqi pushed up behind his turret here in the top lane. That Reza with the weapon buff can be a absolutely devastating factor as well. So Iraqi's got to be careful about that. I'm starting to wonder if he was disconnected, but he is very much there. He's just very much afraid as well. Here comes Tenation. This is a big fight, potentially. Great stuns coming out of the side of Team Invicta. They're not able to find the kill on Tenation, though. And now here comes this Crystal Vox. Look at the damage being spread around. It is a kill picked up onto Jakov the Greatest. Now Benny's going to fall. Flourish as well. Only Iraqi is going to be alive after that one. Man, what a massive play coming out of the side of Defy here.
Yeah, plus you saw a Morph just stroll his way down and just get onto Jakov. Oh, you're a Celeste. Boom, you are dead. Thank you very much. As another kill on the board for the 5GG. They get the mid lane turret. They increase their goalie, which is at a massive 8k in only 9.5 minutes. Remember last game when I said you've got to keep up the snowball effect? You've got to not let the enemy team get back into this game. Defy made the potential mistake the last game of in any way giving Team Invicta a chance to get back into the game. This game, they are not doing the same. They are not letting up, and they are following it up with rotation after rotation after rotation, pressure after pressure, not letting Team Invicta farm up or in any way get into the late game. Fantastic play coming out from the 5GG. Blacklaw is going to be up in less than 2 minutes as well, and Ghostwing is about to respawn. All in all, the 5GG looking good.
Yeah, got a little bit of fight right now here. Tenation does get caught by the taunt, but it's not going to be enough. A beautiful Crucible there. Flourish, unfortunately, unable to separate the opposition. Jakov the Greatest, he is dropped. He actually went for the Frostburn first. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I don't think that's the right call for the Celeste. You need that raw damage. It's a lot more, you can look at the Frostburn and say it's utility. Well, realistically, as a Celeste, your team utility is the stun and the massive amount of damage that you can do. You shouldn't be relying on a slow. That should, really should have been, I would say, a Shattered Glass with where they are in the game. We need more damage out of this Celeste, and we need to see Celeste make it through a fight if she's going to have any potential.
Well, you also need to see the Yates doing the same thing, as not the case, gets caught out. 4-man rotation from the Ghostwing to the bottom lane. The 5GG ramping things up. And yes, looking at that Frostbird item pickup, it was pants denominated. It was a potato item to pick up. You realistically have no effect on the team fight. And when you have the likes of the 5GG ramping up as strong as you do, you need to have that core damage. Don't try to take this. Pull comes out, but it does not connect at all. So either way, I would like to see the Slets ramp up a little bit more before it comes into a greater effect, but this is the 5GG going in.
And a huge gauntlet is coming out here. Crucible is going to get Vinny out alive, but the same can't be said for Flourish, who is going to drop very early on that fight. Inferno right here in the front line again. Such an easy target for Tenation. Huge damage spike on Tenation, but they're unable to pick that kill up. This is likely going to be 2 turrets going over to the side of the Defy. They get that central one. They might even go for the Black Claw here. And this is almost like a totally different team coming here into game 2. We did see the fight dominance coming out of Defy GG last game, but they didn't have this level of objective control.
No, they didn't.
They are mopping the floor with the side of Team Invicta right now. Jack Up the Greatest, level 9. Tenation approaching level 11 here on this box. He almost has the gold for his Broken Myth. Jack Up the Greatest has just gotten into his second item, which did end up going to be the Spellfire. Again, not a ton of upfront damage from the Celeste, and I feel like that might have been a little bit of the wrong move to make. A easy pick off for Immorph there onto Iraqi. Got caught out a little bit too far, and I think this could be the final push for the side of 5GG.
It could be indeed. Change Jacobs, the greatest IGN, to Ivan the Terrible in this situation, but either way, Blacklaw bearing down quite nicely. The 5GG, there's not really too much you can say that isn't quite obvious. They're ahead in CS, they're ahead in itemization, they're ahead in gold, but they're playing the team fights much more effectively in any way than Team Invicta. Team Invicta are actually being a little bit too aggressive, I feel. I know the 5GG are engaging hard onto Team Invicta, but I just don't think Invicta are really giving themselves the best chance, even being that far behind. They are just getting themselves caught out. You saw Iraqi get caught out by a Morph. You can't do that. So either way, we are 40 minutes into this game, and the 5GG go swing up. They're going to secure it. It's just snowballing effect, ramping it up time and time again.
Yeah, there's definitely a rough position for the side of Team Invicta to be in. Now, I do think they still have the potential to come back. Just where we are in the game, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Everything has to fall perfectly into their favor. We have to see Gold get funneled onto Jack of the Greatest so that he can start getting some of those items complete. You know, specifically, I'd like to see, again, more damage come out of the Celeste. Right now, she hasn't been a big enough threat, and it's just been Defy pushing past the defense right into the Celeste over and over again, and it's really put them in an uncomfortable spot. Almost, it's about a 10,000 gold lead right now.
It is.
Here comes a Morph looking for Jack of the Greatest, unable to find it. It's going to be Inferno dropping very quickly. Again, that Troll unable to get away. Flourish, he's going to be the next to go down. Vinny and Jack Off the Greatest and Iraqi, they are going to fall to the side of Defy, and with the exposed Vein Crystal, this should very easily beat Defy, cleaning this game up with an ace. 22-0, 11,000 gold lead. Defy made a huge name for themselves here very early on in this tournament.
That was a 2-turret push that they went ahead as a 4 to 5 man Defy team, paid off, closing out the game, closing out the series 2-0. What was an overall dominating performance in the first game by Defy, they took it and they improved on it tenfold with both the comp and the rotations and the itemization. CS-wise, 117 coming out from 10 to Sion and 94 on Jack of the Greatest. With all due respect, I'm kind of surprised Jack of the Greatest got up to 94 CS with how realistically outside of the game and the team fights he was looking. First item, we talked about it, it wasn't really effective. Iraqi getting Serpent's Mask and Breaking Point on the Gwen. Again, what build path is that on a Gwen? In the 3.8 meta, even though Tension Bow got a bit of a nerf, it's still effective very heavily on the Gwen when you have a Sour Blade first item. it just pays off a lot more in a team fight situation. You're able to provide a lot more burst. Bill Path did not affect Team Invicta at all on the Gwen, and that's possibly like 22-0 speaks for itself to nominate.
Yeah, definitely was a huge performance from Defy. I feel like Team Invicta, if they can work out some of the rotations, I definitely think they're a team that we can see improve throughout the course of this tournament. Game 1, I actually think they did exceptionally well. They had wonderful map control. The rotations were good. Just unfortunately, the mechanics and the team fights were heavily in favor of the side of Defy. We've seen things that should have been crucibled off. Get missed, and that really let Defy capitalize constantly when it came down to the team fights. Now, Invicta, they did find themselves a couple picks in Game 1 as well, and due to some of those rotations. So I'd really like to see these guys just work on some of the fine-tuning of the mechanical skill, and the rotations otherwise have been excellent.
Yeah, of course. By all means, Team Invicta did not do bad. They overall put in some good performances. It's just the little things that make a bigger difference when you're at a higher competitive level to nominate. When you're in a lower kind of even a solo queue rank or that kind of situation, you can afford to make a mistake, and it's not going to be as heavily taken advantage of by an enemy team. But in this stage, at this level of play, one small mistake leads to a bigger mistake. It's a snowball. It's a chain reaction of events, and that's what you've got to stop happening. But Maxman, we got a couple of words to say about that last game and about the fantastic series coming out from Defy.
I do indeed. Such a nice game. It was completely going over. Then 2-0 over to Defy GG. And what I actually like the difference between Game 1 and Game 2 is you had Game 1, it was Defy GG. They were on the Celeste. They were positioning all their team fights around that specific Celeste pickup. Game number 2, yeah, the Celeste went over to Team Invicta, and then that was the showdown for Defy GG. Say, we're going to show you how to focus and burst down the Celeste. And then you end off with Jacob the Greatest, unfortunately not being the greatest that game and ending 0-7. So it really shows the Defy GG. I think their mechanics were a little bit more on point, and then you had how to execute these team fights in a much more efficient way. So congratulations anyway to Defy GG as they do claim this game 2-0. So far in this tournament, guys, we've been having no Game 3. So far we've been having a lot of stomps, but this is into the battleground period. So we're going to be having teams, unfortunately, a little bit, not all the greatest playing up against each other. It's going to be a little bit uneven overall for some of them. But still, nice games coming out so far. So we're going to be checking out what happened today. If you did just join us, welcome. We had 2 sets of BO3s. We had the first game that happened at 6 PM CET. It was Divine Vendetta up against Team Sly. Sly took it home 2-0. It was a very, very close second game, but still Sly taking it home. And then the game that just ended, it was Team Invicta against Defy GG. And Defy GG just rolling up the 2-0 situation for themselves. So real quick, we're going to be going over the matches we will be having tomorrow. As you guys know, we'll be having more matches tomorrow. So it will be at 6 PM CET. That is European time. GMT is +1 if you are part of the UK. So tomorrow, Sunday, November 25th, 2018. We'll be having 2 sets, once again, 2 sets of BO3. So the first match at 6 PM CET will be Team Exceeder up against Team Jade Lightning EU. Exceeder did win their first match 2-0 in their BO3 up against Fairy Tail. And then the second match at 7:30 PM CET will be Fairy Tail up against Potato Petal. 2 teams that I think that are really even in terms of skill, and I'm really, really intrigued to see that matchup of Fairy Tail up against Potato Petal. Anyways, that was the stream of the EU Champions Cup for today, boys and girls. Hope you had an awesome time, day, and Imperium. Do you have anything to add before we wrap things up?
Not a whole lot from me, except for the competition has been rising, and as we get further into the tournament and see some of these really dominant teams face off against each other, that's where I'm really excited. Today, Defy GG. Huge performance, really impressed by those guys. Earlier we saw Sly, while those games were a little bit closer, and I do think both of those teams can have a lot of potential here. Sly is a super stacked team to me, and I'm excited to see what they can do up against a team like Defy, who just played so excellently.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, at the end of the day, like we mentioned at the start of the stream, Denominate, we haven't had a lot of you know, a lot of kind of full-on tournament competition in EU. It's been a little bit kind of lacking this year. So these players aren't as I wouldn't say overall aren't as prepared in terms of team-wide, in terms of synergy. So now's their chance. So as we get on, naturally, week in, week out, we are going to see, you know, even an even higher level of gameplay, a clearer cut level of synergy, rotations, build paths coming out from these teams, and I'm really excited to see what happens in this EU Championship.
Well, I think Imperium and Denominator just a little bit summed that up for you guys really nicely. Anyways, once again, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your time this weekend with us on the EU Champions Cup. I was your host, Maxman, joined once again by Denominator and Imperium. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll be seeing you guys next time tomorrow on The Rise.
Tell me where you wanna go. We could fly to the stars, yeah. Tell me if you wanna stay. We could fly night and day, yeah. Tell me where you wanna go. We could fly to the stars, yeah. Tell me if you wanna stay. We could fly night, yeah.